But anyway, so uh, let's start out with a couple of little words here about your training and different stuff, right? So one of the things that I understood about your training is you're working on some different parts of your game that you haven't really ever worked on before.
Yes.
So there's some different, working out your back muscles and different things like that. Can you explain a little bit about what you're doing on that side of things?
Yeah, so I'm training with Coach Ken Mastroli, and after our season ended, I was visiting different facilities, trying to finalize where I was going to be training and where I was going to be doing all my pre-draft stuff at. And when I visited X3 here in Fort Myers and got to work out with their speed guys, and then Coach Mastroli, he did a short little assessment initially where he reached he I took my shirt off, my agent, my coach and my dad were all behind me with Coach Mastroli, and he talked about as he was kind of digging his hand under my right side scapula, because quarterback, a lot of repetitions, a lot of extension, you kind
Yeah.
of a lot more loose in the back end on your right side than your left side. And he reached under the scap to the point where half of his hand was basically under my scapula, just because of how loose it was, just because all the years I've been throwing the ball. And he kind of explained that if you can strengthen your decelerators in your back, kind of in your where your rhomboid area is, that there's miles per hour on the ball and yardage in your throws that can be accessed through strengthening those muscles. So he said, just based on the way that I've trained up until that point 2 months ago, I was my strength on my front side was very good, but the strength on my backside was lacking a little bit, which was good news because it's easy to fix, and you can access velocity and yardage on your deep throws, which is two things where I was perfectly okay with becoming better in both of those areas. So the way he talked about it, it made sense. I had been involved with a couple quarterback coaches whom I really enjoyed working out with, and each coach kind of came and has their own little critiques and adjustments that they make to what makes them as quarterback coaches. So based on what I thought I needed, as well as the facility and the resources that were at X3 and Fort Myers, that's where I decided to train. And since then, I've always, especially coming from a smaller school, just tried to overcompensate with my thinking on just wanting to make sure that I'm training, when I'm training, that I'm training maybe too hard rather than not hard enough, because I want it to be going up into this next level. I got to imagine that it's the fastest thing that I'm going to ever be involved in my whole life. And I gotta approach it as I'm the underdog. I'm trying to push myself speed wise, mental wise, every single facet, so that if anything, it's easier than I thought, not harder than I thought. Because if it's harder than I thought, then I'm in trouble. If it's easier than I thought, now I know I'm right, where I'm supposed to be. Nothing's going to be too much, and mentally, physically, I can stay locked in and focus and handle what I'm supposed to do. So I think going through the program with the quarterback stuff, as well as I'm doing different things athletically, because all the tests at the combine, they're all down to just a science now. Everybody's got them down. Each training facility's got the exact steps you need to take, the angles you need to come out of, the tools to get you to where they want to get you, so that they can keep their name high up on the pedestal, so they can continue to get athletes to come in and year out to train for the combine. So athletically as well, I'm training differently, in the sense of I was always kind of just based off all my working out on a conditioning level, like cardiovascular wise, making sure I was able to endure anything thrown at me, no matter how little or much it was. Now it's more little short bursts of power and speed, rather than longevity within my workouts, which I think, my body needed to adapt to that. I think in the first couple of weeks, there were little things where I wasn't like nothing. I had been training cardiovascularly up until that point, so nothing was tiring, but I could tell that my body wasn't used to it, because I would get little pains in kind of my groin area and my quad area, just because it wasn't used to what I was doing. Nothing serious at all. Nothing that took more than a couple of days to rehab and, be back to 100%. But just I could tell my body was getting used to that aspect of things. With my back, initially the first couple of weeks, my back was really sore. Anytime I was involved in a quarterback workout with Coach Mastroli. And I think, it took up until week 4 or 5 for my body to get acclimated. And then for me to start really seeing the results. I think it was stagnant at first, and but I kind of went into this like, we'll see how good I can get if I just went from the time I wake up till I go to sleep. If I just do everything right, and I don't do anything negative to my body. I'm not drinking anything I'm not supposed to be drinking. I'm not eating anything I'm not supposed to be eating. I'm taking all my supplements. I'm eating everything that they put in front of me. When I'm in my free time, I'm letting my body relax and recover. Doing the mental aspect of working on the board as much as I can, physically doing everything they ask me to, rehab wise, taking advantage of all the resources that they have there to offer. Any massage I can get signed up for, I'm in there. So just by week 4 or 5, that's when I started reaping all those benefits. And I think last week was like the final like testing week, athletically, as well as just on field things, just kind of working the combine routes, working all the tests that they're going to put you through in Indy, everything like that. And I think it is crazy how this thing works, because I've worked out my whole life, but the results, like the results that I've gotten from when I started here to now, have been pretty crazy. Pretty crazy to me, because it's almost like I'm hearing them say the numbers. I'm wondering like if they're lying, or if they're just trying to, throw around numbers that'll just make me feel good. But then again, I understand and know that they, this is their job. They're not allowed to really do that. Like they're not, it's just basically, they've got this thing down to a science. They coach you through it. They put you through it for 2 months. And then you really have no choice if you do everything right, but to get better, on all those levels. So I think once I went to the Senior Bowl and they were able to the ball, thankfully, and it was so awesome. They had the ball metrics, just like, how far you threw the ball, how the initial spin rate, the power, the miles per hour, everything, and being able to see my name at the top of 80% of those lists was definitely cool, because once again, coming from a small school, all you hear about is, these dudes spin it different. These dudes are different athletes, or this or that. And, as much as I was tired of hearing about that, I also was taking it like as what they were saying, which is these dudes must be spinning it significantly different. They must be moving at a way more rapid pace. And I just kept that in the back of my mind. Anytime I was training, like it was never necessarily good enough. I was happy I was getting better, but wasn't necessarily where I needed to be. And I think being able to prove that athletically, with the speed of my drop, with being able to maneuver the pocket, with being able to deliver the ball at a rapid pace, and be able to throw the ball, down the field, I was, measurement wise, in 4 days of being on the field, I was the best one at all those things. So I think that was rewarding, and that was a motivating tool going into, the rest of my combine training leading up into the combine. And that's kind of how it's been different athletically. I'm excited to be able to showcase, the type of athlete I am. I think if I go in there and I can replicate what I've done at training, that, I'm going to turn some heads, and people will be pleasantly surprised with everything they see.
And it was noticeable, where when the ball came out of your hands, that it had more zip, it had more pop. Like it was visibly noticeable, not just on the metrics, but visibly, like, because being there, you're sitting around and, we watched the first day of practice. We sat there, we watched, Jaron Hall and Jake Hayner go through it, and Jaron couldn't hit this broadside of a barn to save his life. It was reminiscent of Shea Patterson in 2020 at the Senior Bowl, which was a catastrophically terrible performance from a quarterback standpoint. But, so when you guys came out, you and Clayton Toon, I think were the two top guys that I saw during the week, at least that performed wise. And so I think I told you this when we were there at the day before the game. I said, I was using Clayton as a measuring tool when you guys were going through your dual drops together at the same time, throwing to the opposite sides of the field. Where, how fast are you going through your breaks? How fast are you getting to your drop? How are you exploding off that back step? All those different things that come into it. And I think that there's a lot of improvement that was seen on that. The ball you had zip. So obviously whatever you were doing training wise was working. So all those are positive things. I think that there's a lot of people that are going to be really interested in you as a developmental prospect of the next standpoint. And that's why I wanted to get into some of this film So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing the screen right now. Let's get into this one right here. So I kind of told you what I was looking to do. Kind of ran through the plays here a little bit. So I put this little clip together, the 6 plays, and it's using what I had available to me. So we've got here, this is your first game of the year. I believe this is your very first throw. It's off of a turnover against Southern Connecticut State. Is that correct?
Yes, Southern Connecticut. Yes, sir.
Okay, so the first part that I wanted to talk a lot about was pre-snap. Obviously, I don't think there's a guy over here all the way on the far side. I just hit play and didn't mean to. Although I don't think
this isn't
out
a
of the
pick.
screen.
This isn't a pick. This is a first down.
No. This is not a pick for you. This is off of a turnover. You guys, this is your first play of the game.
This is off of us getting a pick.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, I got you.
No, you didn't throw a pick. Yeah, no,
I got you.
I didn't pull up.
I thought I was severely messed up for a second.
Not pulling that up today. No, this is not an NFL interview. We're not curveballing you. Okay, so
I got you.
But no, this is pre-snap was what I was trying to figure out. What are you looking at here?
All right, perfect. So the play right here. So they were odd front team. So we were working slide protection. So this would have been right trips, 600, dirty, our choice, Y corner. So right trips, 3x1. The tight end always goes to the strength of the call. So right tight end goes to the right. Trips is away. So there's the formation. 600 tells the running back he's on the right, and it tells the right guard to the left tackle that they are sliding left, that they are responsible for the 3 down linemen. They're responsible for the 2 down linemen on their side, plus the 2 backers that are also on their side. Running back is responsible for a head up to outside, so he is responsible for the linebacker on his side. So that secondary defender that's on his side.
Right here.
Yeah, no, inside of him. So number 8, that guy, he was their designated rush guy. They would try to hide him, but really he's just their 4th rush. So he's basically a glorified defensive end that they would drop, every so often into the flat. So we were always accounting for him, and we never wanted to make it to where our running back had to guard him or had to block him in pass pro. So whatever we could do to get our running back not one-on-one with that guy, that's what we did. So the running back is responsible for the guy inside of him, secondary defender, and then if he doesn't come, he gets into his route, which in this play would be a check replace. He's 3x1 off of the tackle, running the check down, and he's sitting. He's not bursting in or out. He's sitting because they're a zone team, so he's just finding a spot in the zone, sitting and being an option for me. Now, dirty our choice. Number 3 is pushing vertical. He's got the choice to make it a seam or a 10-yard basic. So if he's capped off, he's going to run his basic. If it's clean, he can score a touchdown on the seam. Run your seam. So too high look pre-snap. I know he's thinking right now, I'm going to split the safeties, catch a touchdown. Now, on the
when he gets up to the top here, yes, he's got a safety with his back, and they're switching. It looks like they're kind of.
Yeah, so all this is a version. This is a version of their comboing and they're walling off the field. So that the boundary safety has got his eyes to the field. He's looking to rob 3 vertical, right? But our receiver, our receiver isn't necessarily using his peripheral vision right now. All our receiver's trying to do is beat that linebacker over top and still imagine that he's splitting the safeties. Now he's taking 2 dudes with him out of the picture that I don't have to worry about anymore. Receivers 2 and 3. Receiver 2 has got a 4-yard in breaker. If I'm deciding to read the play side and the Mike pushes vertical, which he does, then I would work number 2, who's got a 4-yard in cut. Boom. If the alley defender is on him, covers him, is down his back, I don't like it. I plus it to number 3, outside receiver, who's got a 6-yard in cut. So that's the concept side. Our tight end side is our yes-no side. Now, since it's a version of wall, anytime we know we're getting wall coverage, which is just quarters to a 3x1, we know that backside with the running back and the tight end, we know it's man-to-man. So a lot of times when we get in this formation, right-left trips, the corner is outside leverage of the tight end, even though he's still got a man. In this picture, the corner pre-snap is head up over our tight end. Our tight end's got an out-breaking route. So I know that since we have a a pass concept route running tight end who's dynamic in open field and can run good routes, I know that pre-snap he's got good leverage on his corner. He's a bigger body. I know if he can just even be neutral leverage and have the ability to break out, that I can break him flat and he can catch this ball. And even if he's guarded pretty well, he can be a big body and go get the ball. So pre-snap, I already knew what I wanted, so I wasn't going to work the concept side. So I was working tight end down to running back. So tight end ran a good route, delivering the ball. For whatever reason that wouldn't have worked, I would just come down to Ronnie Brown on his check replace.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's a great outside throw, right? Because the timing, right? You throw this right as he's hitting his break.
Yes.
So that makes sense. I was wondering if that was a pre-snap where you figured that out, which you just pretty much explained. Yeah, you went away from the concept here. Now, the interesting thing, you guys use wall as your terminology. I think that a lot of people would know that as shell. It's the same sort of concept thing, right? Where you're basically playing, like you said, the 3x1 bracket. You're creating a wall shell, same type of thing.
Yeah.
But you read that concept really well, I thought. And I like the throw. I like the timing and the anticipation. You knew where he was going to be at that point. So good stuff on that one. Now, the second play I've got pulled up, this is a little bit later in the quarter. This is your second drive. I believe you're up 7-0 at this point. Okay. Again, we've got a very similar, you're not running trips this time. You're running two up to the top. You've got a receiver down here at the bottom, along with your tight end. I don't think that's Ron. Is that Ronnie Brown in there too? Or is that the other guy?
No, that's not right. That's Avon Holly.
Yeah, okay. So this play right here, it ends up being, it's a little 5-6 yard curl to your outside receiver. Now, I get this is the one of the plays I wanted to ask about specifically, because this looks like a throw that you could kind of zip in there, and you've lobbed it. So one of the things that people are always talking about is touch and timing and anticipation, stuff like that. What was the thought process on this play right here?
So this is right. This is right. There looks like we got an even from right here. So this is right 500 stars. It's just double smash on both sides. So we're just reading space, numbers, and leverage. So we know on the outside we've got hitches. So those are technically our yes nos, our pre-snap yes nos within the play. I know down here on the boundary, corner's got outside leverage. The safety's outside leverage of our tight end who's running a corner route. So that picture to me isn't very attractive. So, I know that I'm exiting that from my mindset. I know I'm working the left side. So I'm reading smash concept. We've got space up top. We've got leverage with number 2 on the alley defender. He looks like he can get open on the corner. Say that it was man coverage. We know that number 2 can win on the outside of that alley defender just because of where he's aligned pre-snap. So now we're going to work the smash side to the field down to our running back, who's got a check sit. Now this is 400 protection. So the O-line is responsible for the 4 down linemen plus whoever we deem is the Mike. The running back is checking the other secondary defender who we don't name the Mike. If he does not come, then he's out into his check sit. And since it's smash and the middle of the field isn't getting occupied by any route, he's got the ability to burst left and right at the top of his route if he's not open, if he gets attached to man. So I know I'm working the left side. I know the corner's got eyes in on me. So being able to get the snap, get an idea where that corner is going to be, and then he ends up getting space. The alley defender's inside leverage of our corner route, so he can't push to the flat faster than we can get the ball to the hitch. So I think this was just kind of one where I just kind of caught the ball, took a 1.5 step drop, not a full 3, because I'm working to the field. I know I got to be more on time than I would need to be if I was working the boundary. He's wide open. So I figure I'd just give him a ball, just give him a good ball, right? That he can catch and then do some with it, and not really have to put a whole lot of stress on him being able to make a catch at a rifle coming at his chest.
Okay, I think that's fair too, and because when you do throw this ball, you've got 2 defenders that are not looking at him at all. Like they're worried about the hitch, and then the 29 here, he breaks off of it, comes down, safety comes back down.
Yep.
So I mean, they're not worried about the hitch. They're looking at the the smash over the top, which is a. I don't see him. I didn't realize that was a smash because I didn't see him running toward the sideline up over the top. So
Yeah, rewind that.
yeah, it looks like he's breaking.
All right, so so it's one. All
yeah,
right,
it's
so
a
this
go.
is one high.
Okay.
So this is an example of kind of a smart guy being selfish. So we had a lot of options, within our thing, and I think that right now he gets to the top of stem and he sees that corner without knowing that the hitch is wide open. He sees that corner just waiting on him for the corner route. So I think since
So
he
breaks
he understands that it's cover 3, so he's just trying to work that seam.
Yeah. Okay.
Work that seam window.
So you guys run a lot of option routes then?
Yes.
Because we've already the first 2 plays that we sat here and talked about, we've got option routes all over the place.
Yeah.
So third play that I've got here, same game. This is I believe this is second quarter. This is one where I'd like to hear a little bit about this progression. I believe it's a 2 receiver it's a 2 receiver concept with a check down. You've got 7 in protection, I think, with if you count the running back, he looks like he checks, it's 8. So the thing that I liked about this is I see your head movement, 1, 2, check down. So tell me a little bit about what's going through your head on this play.
All right, so we're in 21 personnel. We're in Lynchburg, so it's a 3-by-1 formation, just with the tight end and fullback included in the 3-by-1. So this is 54. So this is our play action. This is our play action protection. Everybody is gap scheming to the left, and the running back is funnel flat to the right side. So he's faking inside zone to the right, funneling the boundary side defensive end into the tackle to make it an easier block for the tackle, and then he's out into the flat. If there was anybody to come outside of the defensive end on that boundary side, then running back would then be responsible for that defender. He sees that nobody's coming, nobody's bringing pressure off that edge, so he gets into his flat. The concept we have is Poco. It's a post out at about 15 yards, so they're supposed to break for the post at 10 to 12, 3 hard steps to the post, and then break out high and then flatten it off to create space away from our from their defender, so they can't try and make a break on the route. So pre-snap, Poco, I don't like a post out against a guy that's you want to take the guy that's further off, the defensive back that's further off. I felt like with our receiver up top, I mean down here in the field, with him being off the ball, giving him a little bit more space to maneuver and work a double move. My eyes initially went there, and then I think he cuts his route off a little bit short, so I think he runs his post at about, you can see, 5 to 6 yards up the field. So right then and there, you kind of see that, that side, the timing's already off. So I got to get off of it immediately, check the boundary, post out, because I got off of the field one so quickly, and I know that my check down's on that side, so there's no harm in
peeking.
Getting
there's no harm in peeking.
So he also runs his route relatively shallow, just based on the man, because running a double move I think is a little bit intimidating whenever you've got a man look, and they don't just help you set the route up for yourself. So he runs his he breaks for his post, I believe, at around 6 or 7 as well.
That was the confusing part of this concept, Tyson, was the fact that when I saw it, it looked like post outs, but at the same time, it was
10 yards.
Yeah, exactly. That's not something that I'm accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, exactly. So the routes get broken off short, get off of it, find my check down. He did a great job funneling the end man on the line into the O line. And then anytime you get Ronnie Brown in space, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. So I think this is 1st and 10 as well. So, any positive play that we can get, especially 6-7 yards, we're staying on time, moving the chains.
Next play that I want to talk about and gets into the play extension part of your game. And so I think that there's 2 different ways that you look at, I guess the word that we use is improv, right? Where as a quarterback, you have to extend plays. And I think there's 2 different ways you do it. And it's the traditional play extension, which is where you keep the concept of the play itself alive.
Mm-hmm.
So your movement is not to create something, it's to keep the concept alive. Improv, I think, is when you have the play is broken and you have to create something. And so in the Senior Bowl, we saw the ability to improv a little bit with that little toss over to Chris Rodriguez in the middle of the field, and he broke a tackle and busted for a 25-yard. I think you could took a late hit as well, so they added 15 yards onto that. But there was a little improv ability there that I saw, and that's what I would call play, basically, because Chris kind of had to drift along with the zone on that play, and you read it, you got it to Chris, and he made a good play. But
Yes.
play extension is much harder.
Yes.
I think, because you're keeping the concept alive. You're having to track all the defenders on the field. I think that this play, and note too for viewers, I mentioned this play. I gave you the quarter, I gave you the time, you gave me the down and distance and told me what you did on it. So play recall. That's a big deal. Against Cal, Pennsylvania.
Cal, PA, the best 500 team in the country.
So I'm going to play it through one just initially right here, so everybody gets a chance to look at it. You've got extending out all the way, long ball down the field, bam. Now, my perception of this, now obviously because it's not all 22, I don't have that. I'm sorry. I can't see what the concept is entirely, but it looks like to me you've got a deep dagger. He ends up, or it's a post or something. He ends up flattening it, basically keeping the concept alive. So I thought that this was a play extension. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong. What's going through your head on this one?
Nah, so you're right. So we've got a 2-by-2 formation right here. We're going to get to even front. So it's 500 protection, running backs on our left. He's checking that mic that's right there in the middle of the field. Obviously, it's 3rd and 17. He's not showing any inkling that he's going to be a part of the pressure scheme at all. We know we're getting a 4-man rush, and they were doing a good job of getting pressure in with just that 4-man rush, as well as mixing up blitzes, pretty much, I think 80% of the time they were a heavy blitz team. So 3rd and long, they're going to play soft man coverage, and they're going to take their chances with this 4-man rush. O-line is responsible for the 4 D linemen and the Mike who's not coming. Running back doesn't really have to check anything. He can just check for a split second, maybe get a chip on a defensive end, and then get out to his route. The concept is Miami. So this is left formation. Tight end goes to the left. Z follows him, and he's off the ball on the left side with the tight end. Our R, as our slot, is on the right, and the X is split out top of the numbers to the field. This is Miami, so it's basically like a shallow dagger concept. Our tight ends on our shallow route. The slot is on a 10 to 12 yard flat basic, and our X has got a big post over top. Our Z is our yes no. He's got a win read. So if he wins, he's going to keep it pushing. He's going to win over the top. If he doesn't, he's going to break it off as a comeback at 15 yards. I didn't like that matchup. So immediately that yes no is a no for me. So now I'm reading this low to high. But in this case, I know it's 3rd and 17. We're down by 2 scores. And 3rd and 19, I know I'm not really, I don't really, the shallow flashes in front of my eyes, but I know that I don't really want to throw the shallow. I want to at least get half of what we've got, so that, give the coach, put the ball in the coach's hands on whether or not we're going to go for it on 4th and manageable. Understand that we're not going to go for it if it's 4th and 15 if I hit the shallow. So being able to get my eyes downfield. They ran like a version of man, but they were kind of comboing 2 vertical. So the guy over top the slot's outside leverage, but the safety is right inside leverage, waiting for him to in break so that he can break on it. He can disrupt the pass or maybe even get a pick. So my eyes initially go to that slot because I see the outside leverage. I'm thinking if we can bang this 10 to 12 yard basic and it be 4th and 12, 4th and 7, then that gives us the ability to go for it on 4th down. I pump to it, but as I'm about to throw it, I see the safety go to rob the in breaker route. The pocket breaks down. I find a lane. Get out of it to the right as I'm in my scramble drill rules. So are the receivers, which we practice all the time. Our guy who ran a big post over top sees me scrambling out to the right, so he gets off of his post, comes to the sideline that I'm running to. We were able to lock eyes on time, and at a pretty good, when he was in pretty good position off of his defender, and I was able to put the ball on him. He was able to make a great catch, and then we were able to keep the drive alive.
Yeah, you're throwing this at the 23-yard line, and he's catching it at the 35. So we're talking like a Yeah. 50-yard throw rolling to your right. Not a big deal. Anyways, all right. So this is another play. This is earlier in that game. You guys are winning at this point. This is first down. And so this is a throw. It looks like so I'm gonna call it the untrained eye, the quarterback, the armchair quarterback is gonna go, oh, you missed on this throw. And I want you to explain this a little more because I don't think you did. You've got a one high look over the top. Looks like it's man across the board. So looks like they're also going to run press on the outside. They're going to give a cushion to the slot. You got your slot running a go, and I think he might have tried to stem too far inside. You throw this outside. So talk about this
Perfect.
a little bit.
So yeah, all right. So this is a we are in. Go back to the top.
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. So this is Richmond. This is 3-by-1 with our tight end attached.
Okay.
So the strength Richmond, our tight ends on the right. So this is a run play. We got inside zone called. Obviously, they're loading the box and running press man. The two weaknesses on Cal's defense, they had a really good boundary corner. They had really good safety play, but we felt as if their weaknesses was the field corner and the field alley defender. So we believe
real quick, sorry, not trying to interrupt you, but explain there for people what you're talking about: field corner and field alley defender.
Yeah. So this team's strength was everybody except for the guy guarding the slot and the guy guarding the field receiver. So number 10 down here at corner and number 28 right on the hash marks over top of our slot. Those were the two weaknesses in our eyes going into this game to be able to take advantage of, if we were going to be successful. So we've got we were able to block 6 on this inside zone. And we know that they have 7 people in the box, so that we know that we're outnumbered, and we know that our slot guy here is a route runner. All right. So we had 13, which is our inside zone to the left, 13 seam, which puts our slot guy on a seam and our outside guy on a hitch. Now, pre-snap, I understand, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that this is man coverage, and also doesn't take, a super smart person to understand that a seam really isn't a good man-beating route. So I know that in order to be successful on this play, it's second medium. So if we don't convert, it's not the end of the world. We know that we had to pass the ball, a lot to be able to be successful in this game anyway. So I changed the protection. I make a lightning call, which is full slide left. So I want to slide away from the tight end and then tell the running back that he's helping with the tight end. So now we've got whoever the end man to the field is on the line of scrimmage, the tight end and the running back are both double teaming him. If it was one-on-one, that might be a shaky matchup for us, but I feel better and more secure if it's 2-on-1. The rest of the line is full gap sliding to the left. So I know that it's a 7-man protection. I'm fully protected. I changed the concept to the field from seam to stripes. Stripes is the same thing for the outside guy. He's got a hitch, but for the inside guy, it's an outside release numbers fade. So it's basically, you're just trying to put the ball out there, have him get a good release, and then be able to track the ball. I think he does a good job winning outside. The alley defender gets a little bit too handsy. Throw the ball, we get a flag for pass interference, and then we were able to keep this thing rolling. But that was my mindset for this play.
Yeah, because what it looked like to me, and I'm glad that you pointed that out, but it looked like to me that he's still looking inside for the ball, and it's hitting outside the numbers. And so I don't know if there was some sort of miscommunication there.
That just might be a thing of just him getting grabbed, as well as not not just being on his overall landmark of what we'd expect, especially with it being high safety. You want him to get as far away from that safety as he can.
So the last one I've got here, this is going to the Senior Bowl, man. And first off, congratulations on the Senior Bowl. I mean, I thought you had a great performance. I know that the problem was there were 1,000 different people that were credentialed there as media. And so everybody had their Twitter thumbs rolling, and everybody had a different opinion. And so there were a lot of different opinions that were floating around. But I think the consensus overall was that you were one of the top 2 quarterbacks that performed there over the week. Now, the reason I brought this play up, and I told you before we got started on this one, is I was watching Max Duggan running this concept. and he would miss the wide open receiver every single time. Now you're also learning this playbook in 3 days, right? Or I guess it's 3 or 4 days, right?
Yes.
And then you're going out on the field and you're getting your little shot at glory, I guess you could say, right? Where you get a chance to drive the field and all that different stuff. And you're playing, some guys are playing real hard, other guys are not. There's obviously a lot of different stuff, but a lot of the stuff that you're doing, I think at the Senior Bowl from the playbook, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is it's simple, but it's an NFL type concept. So maybe there's something there that you hadn't really seen before.
Yeah, no doubt. I think they kept everything simple with, I didn't see any concept that I hadn't repped at least one time in college, but that's also me, being able to be lucky enough to be a starter for 5 years, counting that COVID year. So it was nothing pass protection, run wise, pass game, play action wise that I hadn't, that was foreign to me. I think the most foreign thing was just having that headset, be able to listen to Coach London spit the verbiage out that you had just learned, that was new to you, and being able to really regurgitate it confidently to a group of dudes so that you could still play fast. I think that was the pressure point of the day, but nothing concept wise was a shock to me, so to speak.
So this is a 12-yard rip. It looks like Will Mallory is the receiver here. He's the tight end out of the slot. He's got an option route here in the seam where he can rip the seam, or he could just sit, and he sits.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Duggan missed this throw twice in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And that frustrated me because I hate seeing wide open receivers and quarterbacks miss them. That is my biggest pet peeve. Because if I can see it, I don't know how you can. You can't, because I'm not a quarterback. But maybe that's a little biased.
You might have a little better view.
An advantage? Okay, yeah, sure. But no, when I can see it pre-snap, when I can see it's going to be open pre-snap,
right.
I'm concerned, right? Like,
I can understand that. I can understand.
Now, so you hit him here, and the thing is, your windows when you're hitting Will, these are tighter than what Max missed. I don't have Max's clip because I didn't care enough to pull it, but this is it's a little rip concept. Basically, he catches that. Now, talk a little bit about some of the timing and issues and things like that you guys worked out while you were at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, I think that, we had a group of dudes who were all learning an offense for the first time, learning a pro offense for the first time, quarterbacks and centers getting used to under center exchanges, receivers and tight ends and running backs getting used to concepts and what their job is within each concept. And I think it was all kind of about listening to all the coaching, because you're getting coached by professional coaches. Obviously it's a huge blessing in that with that whole thing, being able to get coached by, guys of that caliber. And I think it's also being able to remedy it with, you also just being able to play the game. And I think in that game was the only time that you were really able to showcase, your ability as just like a ball player. Just, what can you do within the white lines when the coach isn't on the field with you? When you have a defense on the other side that hasn't been practicing with you all week, that doesn't know what your game style is, or what you're capable of on the field. So I think, with that play specifically, it was gun spread right, 3 jet F stars. And at the last 2 minutes of each quarter, at the end of each quarter, it was played like it was the end of the half. So each final 2 minutes, it was a 2-minute drill, which I think confused a lot of people, especially in the first quarter and the third quarter, with, why didn't he run that? Why did he throw that there? Why did he do this? Why did he do that? They're not really understanding that, the end of each 2 minutes was like the end of the halftime. You weren't going to get the ball back at the start of the next quarter. So there was a lot of implications, on the choices you made. And it gave dudes the ability to be able to play in situational football, which I don't think they would have, nearly as much if those weren't the rules. So I thought it was cool in that sense. So that specific play, gun spread right, 3 jet F stars. The tight end has got a seam read. If he gets attached man, he can break on an out route. If it's zone, he's going to sit at 10 to 12 yards and be open in the zone. The outside receiver has got a 14-yard comeback. So we're reading that inside out. And if it's one high, we're reading that side inside out. If it's two high, now we're reading our star side. Our F, which is the slot in that picture, is going to creep behind the will backer and sit in between the window of the will and the mic. The running back is going to check protection and then run a little sneak route like a seam, and you're going to high-low the will based off of that two high shell. Outside guy's got a log route for the love of the game. He's pushing vertical, mandatory outside release, not really an option on this play. So I think in the Wednesday practice, I got my 2-minute drill, and there were code words for the 5 or 6 plays that we had for our 2-minute offense. Gas 1, gas 2, gas 3, gas 4, gas 5, whichever one he called, you had to know what that play was. So gun spread right, 300 jet F stars was gas 3. So because I think there's about 30 seconds left in the clip you just showed, he's, hey, gas 3, gas 3. We had just gotten a couple first down, a couple successful plays. Now we're pedal to the metal. We don't want to have to burn a whole, all our timeouts until, we really need to. So gas 3, gas 3. And on Wednesday in my 2-minute drill, we also rep gas 3. And in my rules, I'm getting coached by NFL coaches, right? So obviously you're wanting to just, listen to coaching and go based off of just based off what the coaching points are within that play. So within that play, 2 high, I'm working the star side. 1 high, I'm working the tight end side with the seam read. So they went 2 high, so I'm reading the star side, but the backers are plussed over to the boundary.
Yeah.
So they're plussed over to the boundary. So the F can't sneak behind the will. He's just got to run straight to the mic, and the running back's going to run straight to the will if they're plussed over to that side. And on film, you notice that because they're plussed over, the tight end is running freely in between the Sam backer and the corner. So now I get in the game. First thing I'm seeing is a 1 high, 2 high. It's 2 high. Rules tell me I need to work the boundary, but repetition showed me, and the overall picture is showing me that, hey, if I can take this drop, have eyes on the Sam, make sure that he just drops straight back, then I know I can plug this tight end in between the backer and the corner and be able to move the chains despite what the rules may be. Because if I'm looking at this picture right now, I know how it's going to play out. The F's going to run right to the mic. The running back's going to run right to the will. And even if I plug the running back immediately, he's going to get 3 yards, and it's going to be like a shaky play, not a play that you want to have on 2-minute drill. So took my drop, Sam dropped straight back, and it stayed pretty consistent with this. So just being able to take advantage of, space. It's all about space and numbers. Do they have enough people to guard, who we have over here and what we're trying to do concept wise on this side. They didn't. So 3-step drop, eyes kind of in the middle of the field with my peripheral on the Sam backer. He drops vertically, plug Will Mallory for the first down, kind of get things to continue to spark a little bit and to create, more of a drive. So that was kind of happened on that specific play, and just kind of one of those things where, coaching, but then also repetition is the mother of all learning, and you'll, get a feel for it one way or another, which I think has been the case for my whole career. Just the amount of repetitions, I've been lucky enough to kind of just get an overall feel for, what's happening in the back end and all that good stuff.
What's the biggest impression that you're trying to leave? Because, when you talk to all 32 NFL teams. Like, that was kind of the rule this year at the Senior Bowl, was everybody's talking to everybody. There's no, reports coming out, oh, well, so-and-so talked to the Bengals, the Chiefs, about blah, blah, blah. There wasn't any of that. Nagy shut that down really. Jim Nagy, the Senior Bowl director, shut that down really early. He said, everybody's talking to everybody. There's no anything. So what was that biggest focus that you kind of had? Because to be straight was, talking with your high school coach who was there, right? And, talking with Coach Jesse there, your OC from Shepherd, and your teammates and that were there that were also supporting you. I think it was your lifelong best friend, right? That played center.
Yeah.
You've been playing center since high school together,
Yeah.
So like all these people were there, to watch you. And I got the opportunity to talk to a lot of them. Everybody's big thing was he works harder than everybody. They don't have any doubt that you're going to make it because of that, right? So when you go into an NFL meeting and you're sitting down, you sat down with all 32 teams. What was that sort of impression you were trying to present about yourself, about the person that you are and the player that they're getting?
I think it was a kind of a mixture of a lot of things. Obviously, I'm not an amateur athlete anymore. I'm trying to become a professional athlete. So I'm trying to act as such. I wanted to leave no doubt that not only do I want to be a pro, but I'm already acting like a pro. Everything I'm doing on a day-to-day basis is the same thing that a pro would do. I love hanging out, making sure they know what I like to do. I love hanging out with my family. I love hanging out with my friends. Other than that, taking care of my body, I'm into the health and wellness aspect of all my life. So I'm into things like that. I like to read, but other than that, really, I just want to play. I want to play quarterback. Like, I want to live a good life, but I want to play quarterback. This was a job that I want to. I don't want to be anything else. So making sure that they knew that, making sure that they also have an understanding that I've lived my life at this frequency so that I could be ready for this moment right now. So I could be able to sit here and look at you and say, yeah, no, I've never been in trouble before a day in my life. These are the things that I've been able to accomplish. This was my GPA. I didn't get that GPA because I like school. I got that GPA because I knew that as a quarterback, when I sit in this meeting, that I need to be able to look at you and be like, yeah, I got A's and B's throughout all my classes. Like, I'm disciplined in the classroom. I'm down to learn whatever it is that you want me to learn. Um, all these areas, you want to know what my body fat percentage is, bam, here it is. I'm not ashamed of it because I've been working at it. I want to take care of, I know that my best ability is my availability. You want my injury report, boom, here it is. I take care of my body, year in and year out every day to try and make sure I can be available, to my team and to everything. And also just making sure that they know that I not only did people think that I was where I was supposed to be, I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I don't think these dudes are any different to me. I think I'm better than a lot of these dudes. I think I could play in NFL and just also the understanding I'm just going to be like a pest with this thing. Like, I know I'm the small school dude and they're going to look for one little thing to try and cancel me out. So just making sure that, I'm showcasing that I'm at the top of every single aspect of this and that, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I'm going to continue to get better than I ever have been year in and year out for a long time until, for whatever reason, I don't love football anymore. So just making sure that they knew all those things, that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm not just some D2 kid who's lucky to be there. I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and that this is what I want to do. And, make sure they understand I'm not just doing it for myself. It's way bigger than me, and to keep pushing forward.